evening, everyone, and welcome into Beyond the Boxscore, our weekly program where we break down all the latest action from high school, college, and the professional football ranks here on Pulaski Citizen Live. I'm your host, Mark Mize, and joined once again by my co-host, Chandler Harmon. Chandler, another great week of football, 2 more wins for our local teams.
Absolutely, Mark. And another week of coaches firings. Seems like every time we're on here, someone else is getting fired.
Yeah, the college ranks have not been pretty. And honestly, I would love to next week do a quick deep dive on that for our college football segment of just how many coaches have been fired. We already counted it last week, of course, but if this is the most in the last decade, because it really feels like it has been.
It feels like a lot of these coaches, we knew they were on the hot seat for the past few years, but you almost didn't think they'd pull the trigger on it, and here we are now. Multiple huge coaches have lost their jobs now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks can make a world of difference in the college ranks, especially in the NIL and transfer portal era. And we'll also be doing a deep dive on playoff scenarios next week, as of course that will be the final week of the regular season for high school football. And so going into that game, we'll have a really good idea of exactly what needs to happen for both Richland and Giles County and the other teams in their region. A quick programming note. Next week, Richland has actually moved their game to Thursday night to avoid Halloween. And so Richland will be playing at Moore County October 30th in their regular season finale. Giles County is still playing on Halloween Friday night as they will be hosting Sequatchie County in probably the biggest game of the year. So those of you who always are kind of torn about which team you're going to go check out, you don't even have to pick next week.
You get both. And, it's always interesting when you go to a game on Halloween, people are dressed up. So it'll be an interesting atmosphere next week.
I've always loved Halloween games. And so this past week, Richland won in non-region play 30-10 over Summertown. The Bobcats traveled out west to Jackson Northside for another non-region contest and won 47-21 behind 6 rushing touchdowns for Pearson Collier. So a lot of great action that you'll hear more about in a moment. But one last thing we wanted to kind of explain to you, because we talked about this on our WKSR coaches show on Monday night, and I think that it probably bears repeating tonight as well. The playoff, and I actually did not know this until 2 weeks ago when Wade Neely texted me on a Friday night suddenly saying, hey, you need to know about this because y'all are going to have to talk about this. The playoffs have changed in terms of their bracket seedings in the TSSAA. Basically, this past year, they had a survey among the coaches of how they wanted to see the playoffs go further on. And they gave them the option. They said, what would you feel about the number 2 and number 3 seeds swapping pods? And so real quick, like I said, man, this is hard to explain in the moment. I hope I can help you visualize this. But basically, imagine right now that you have Region 5 playing Region 6 in high school football for the playoffs. So you have the 1 seed versus the 4 seed from your opposing region, the 2 seed versus the 3 seed. The new system would have your 2 and 3 seeds move to a new pod somewhere else. So now let's say we had Giles County as the 1 seed and Sequatchie as the 2 seed this year. Giles and Sequatchie would not play in the quarterfinals like they normally would, because Sequatchie would actually move out west to a different pod and then come back to play them in the semifinals or the championship there. And so once again, I know that seems really hard to understand in the moment, but we wanted to make listeners and viewers aware as things are changing. And so remember, your number 1 and your number 2 seeds are no longer in that same pod once they get to the playoffs like they formerly were. So really, I think that there are some good things to that. I think there are some things that might be tough. You're going to get some cool new matchups that you wouldn't normally. But also, if you go to a pod further enough away, you might suddenly round 2 have a 3-hour game, whereas normally you wait till round 4 to see a game that far away. So we'll see how it goes. Initially, I like it. I know obviously we're broadcasters. We probably have different opinions than the average fans, but we're going to get to see matchups that we might not ordinarily have seen.
And it really adds to the excitement of the postseason. Normally, you kind of have an idea of going to playoffs, who you think is going to be playing in, say, the quarter or semifinals, just based on how they did in the regular season.
Right.
Well, now it's all of a sudden you could see a team you didn't even know you were going to see in the playoffs at all. And quite frankly, it kind of makes it, in a way, a bit easier because you're not playing opponents that already know what you're going to be doing. Because, Giles County, you mentioned Sequatchie. We'll play them at the end of the season. all of a sudden you'd see them again, and they already know some of the ideas or some of the tricks you have. Well, now you're playing an opponent that may not have an idea of what you're going to do.
Right, and you wouldn't catch them until really late in the season. And I think the last note, what this really does that I like, is we aren't really seeing it this year per se, but let's say in a future season, Giles County is number 2 in the state, and Sequatchie is like number 3 or number 4. Well, that's a huge bummer that two teams that really might be meeting in the championship normally can't even get to the semifinals without meeting each other and one of them eliminating the other. Now that will no longer be the case theoretically because two local region teams that normally couldn't get past each other because they're really high rated teams and they just meet too early. Now they'll meet at least one round later, and so that might be fun. But final note, as I said before, the survey, only 53% of the coaches picked this. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it was a super majority or really a plurality there. So at the end of the day, this may be short-lived. You never know.
But you know what? At least we're getting to experience it now, which makes it an interesting time in high school football for sure.
Absolutely. And so we will try to get you more on that next week. Like I said, until Wade reached out to me 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know about it. And so I know this was a really, really quick refresher on that. And I hope that you kind of understood what we're going to be doing there. We may even have an article about it. We're going to try to kind of break that down. We even got a bracket already from Wade Neely. I'll tell you, that guy, he's just the best. But yeah, so really wanted to mention that in our first segment here. And we'll talk about that more next week as we talk about some playoff scenarios. But before we do that, today we're going to have Giles County, Richland, and some college football for you. But up next, Chandler Harmon and Chris Bledsoe will be talking Bobcats and some Giles County football from last week and looking forward to this game versus Forest as they come back to the Brickyard here on Beyond the Box Score.
When it comes to real estate, Haney Realty and Property Management is the team you can trust. Our extensive knowledge of the market and industry allows us to help our clients with any real estate need. We know how to get results. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, or rent, let us put our expertise to work for you. Call us today at 931-347-9150 or visit HaneyRealtyPM.com to learn more. Haney Realty and Property Management, your best friend in real estate.
And we're back here with the Giles County segment of our show. Chris is joining me today. Chris, how are you doing, man?
Doing well, man. Super excited to be here as always. It's just it's good to get a chance to sit down and talk Bobcat football, especially after a big victory.
Absolutely. And speaking of big victory, Giles County goes on the road, 2.5 hour road game for them, and they come up with a very big win for the Bobcats. Chris, being on the side over in the press box there and watching the game, what all did you see from the Bobcats in this game?
Probably the best executed ball game we played thus far this season. Just in all three phases, did a really good job taking care of the football. Executed in the pass game, run game, defensively. Just we shut the run down, which then put them in a situation to have to drop back and throw it a lot. That's not something I feel like they're very confident in. They have a Division I athlete that played some quarterback a little bit there, and we just did a good job of making them uncomfortable all night. I think that was it. Just looking at it all in all, probably the best performance from the team as a whole, and then to kind of wrap it all up and put a bow on it. 2 words, one name, Pearson Collier. That's it.
And going off that, 6 touchdowns for Collier. One of the best nights for running back I've seen in my time covering football. He was just scoring from wherever he wanted on the field.
Yeah, there were times where he probably in a situation where he could have had 7. There were, if you look back at the last touchdown he scored twice on that same drive, he could have scored, broke away from the defense and slid in the home plate. Like he was trying to be safe. So again, just tremendous job from him, and then they just kept moving the ball down the field to the point where he finally had to put it into the end zone. So just a terrific performance, well over 200 yards rushing, just putting the ball in the end zone that many times. I don't care who you're playing. That's tough. And that's not a bad Jackson Northside team. We're not talking about shots at community, but this is a community that you played. It was a longer drive, longer route. And if nothing else is taken from that, we learned that Pearson Collier is in fact a man of his word, because I do remember him vividly telling you last 2 weeks ago he felt bad for having 3 touchdowns on community, but he guaranteed that he'd have 3 touchdowns against Jackson Northside, and not only is he a man of his word, but he always gives you a little more than what you ask for.
Yeah, he went in there and doubled the amount of touchdowns that he guaranteed.
Yeah.
Just absolutely a dominant performance. The Bobcats, Amari Allen, once again doing some amazing things on the receiving side. It looked like one of the best put together games they've had this season.
Without a doubt, Damari is still growing and still coming into his own. A couple of tremendous plays. I think he ended up with just shy of 100 yards rushing. Probably he has one misfire, one drop, if you will, that 1,000% he wants it back. Had the defense beat, could have very easily put points on the board on that particular play. Just may have misread it or mistimed it a little. But other than that, I think he had a marvelous performance as always. He just gets better and better week in and week out, along with X Randolph, those guys up front. And then obviously the offensive line, who I talk about, week in and week out. But one of the guys who we saw at Community, who also nearly had 100 yards rushing, was Tristan Houston. Tristan Houston comes in Friday night, has to go play fullback, and I think he learned really quickly that he wasn't at Bridgeforth anymore. Like, this was different level of football, and he quickly acclimated to how the game's supposed to be played. We knew he could run it, and now he showed that he can also be a team guy and go block and lead block. I thought he did a marvelous job with that. And again, it was just collectively offensively, they had no answer for what we were trying to do.
Absolutely. Now the Bobcats obviously looking great for the future. Then 2 weeks left in the regular season. Bobcats looking like they are in playoff form already.
Yeah, you just want to keep building on what you've been doing. I think you've kind of found some momentum since you played Lincoln County. The last time, if I remember correctly, the last time we were at the Brickyard was against Lincoln County. Seems like ages ago, but again, I think you really found your footing in that ball game. I think you determined who you were going to be. It was a battle of the same identity and who was going to be the more forceful group, and Giles County just kind of dominated in that aspect. And they've dominated ever since that ball game. And so it's just a lot to be excited about. You got to keep building, though. You keep getting better. Nobody wins a state championship in October. They do you any good to peak in October or peak in September. Like, you want to be peaking, late November. And the Bobcats are trending onward and upward to being able to do that. And so I think if they continue where they're at, if we can figure out how to get a shot or get a dosage of medicine for this injury bug and finally get rid of it, I think we'll be in prime position. Again, they're, I believe, 5-3 currently, and they're probably the most dangerous 5-3 football team in all of 3A football.
And one thing that I think needs to be noted too, a little bit of worry initially, when they lost to Watertown about how are they going to do on the road. I think they've dispelled any fear on that and have shown they can win anywhere they go.
Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of questions about that, and fair enough because of their performance over there. But if you look at it and that ball game right there, in 3 quarters of play, if you take out one of those where they were pretty decent, that was by far the worst 3 quarters of football we saw from Giles County this entire season. It just happened at an inopportune time. They played, and with all due respect to Watertown, Giles played really, really awful. Watertown played exceptional. It's a bad combination if you're a Bobcat fan. It was a recipe for disaster. They took advantage of it. Hats off to them. But we played really, really bad football. And, you can't do that against, decent teams, especially at home and when you're on the road. So I think the Cats have learned a lot from that. It was a humbling experience. I think we were riding a little bit of a overconfident high, if you will. That game kind of comes around the same time. We're still kind of floating off of the whole, was it Max Preps that made the announcement about Giles being your 3A state champion? And again, what does Nick Saban talk about, the rat poison? Well, again, they're high school kids. They saw it. They read it. It is what it is. But I think that was a humbling experience. That was a long week of practice. That following that, coming off the bye week. And then I think we just went over there and did a really good job taking care of business and just getting better and better each and every week. And hopefully now we're starting to get some other Bobcats back healthy to make a deep playoff run.
Absolutely. And the big thing I think that we can take away from the entire Bobcat season is they have mastered the art of the next man up.
Yeah, you've kind of had no choice. It's been job done by committee, and I think that each time somebody's called up, each time the number is called, they do a good job of putting themselves in position to be successful, and then just buying into what head coach David O'Connor and that crew does, whether it's on the offensive side or defensive side. I think they've done a really good job of that. Kudos to the Bobcat defense this past week. Really looking at Ja'Karius Spidey Reese, I thought he had a monster performance. I thought coming into the matchup, knowing that there was a Division I corner on the other side of the field, it took it as an opportunity to showcase his abilities and his skills, and to just look at him, side by side. I mean, Jack Reese is long, he's lanky, like he's got that. He has all the things that you look for, and I thought he showcased himself really well in coverage, as well as being able to come make tackles. So, and then even rotating in some spots, he's played a little hybrid safety. He's done obviously the lone man at corner, so he showcases what he's able to do, and then we're still just in awe, as impressive as what Pearson did offensively. The Giles County is pretty much playing a one linebacker set with 5 down linemen, and everybody else is defensive backs and so on and so forth. And Pearson is literally playing from tackle to tackle, and he's feeling that consistently. He's getting to the play, fitting the run. It's been fun to watch.
Absolutely. And kind of looking ahead now, 2 weeks left. We kind of talked about that a second ago. Both of their last 2 games are at home. Big matchup this week, and honestly, one of the best running backs in the state of Tennessee will be coming to Giles County. So what do you think that's going to do for the Bobcats in this matchup coming up?
Well, let me go on record and say, I said this early in the season, I'll say it again now, that in my humble of hearts has to be a 3A Mr. Football finalist. If the season ended tonight, even no matter what he does Friday, what he does the week after that, season ends tonight, he has to be a finalist. He gets my vote to win it all. He has made Forest football relevant. He's made that program something to be excited about. He's made that program just kind of come alive again, and they've bought into the fact that we're gonna go as far as Quincy can take us. And so the Cats have their hands full. You got to be able to tackle. You got to be able to tackle in open field, then contain it, fit it. Good news for the Bobcats is stopping the run has been something we've had a lot of success in. So I think we can do that Friday night. I think we'll be okay. You just got to remember when you're stopping that run, because Forrest will hit you with some play action. You don't want to get beat over the top, sending too many heads to the ball. So just doing our job, fitting the run, making someone else in a Forest uniform beat us other than Quincy Mitchell.
Absolutely. And one big thing the Bobcats got to do, and we talk about it every week, stay healthy. We're almost to the playoff stretch now.
Yeah.
It feels like every week we're talking about them losing a player. Hopefully, Friday night we'll see some players back.
You hope that you're able to get some of those guys back, and like you said, you hope that you're able to stay away from injuries. It's a part of it, unfortunately. But if you're Giles County now, if you're able to go, you're healthy enough to go. This is when you need to be suiting up and trying to make that happen. This is a really, really big ball game. You need to win this one, and then you want to put yourself in position to be able to go win one next week, and then you still need a little help from. It's crazy enough because you want to beat Forest Friday, and then everybody in the Bobcat uniform and Bobcat T-shirts will be rooting against Forest this Friday, and then Halloween will be putting on, I guess, our Halloween costume and cheering for Forest to win that ball game. So again, because they play Watertown the last game of the season, but if you're Giles County, take care of business, control what you can control, put yourself in a situation to be able to win it down the stretch.
And the Bobcats, obviously, with the Watertown loss and a winning out, the Bobcats are going to be in very good position for the playoffs. One thing I'm really looking forward to if we're able to make a deep playoff run is we'll have a 3-headed Hydra in the backfield. And that's something that we've not seen yet this season, but it's something that Coach O'Connor and many of the other coaching staff have highlighted, that we have not seen the Bobcats fully healthy, and that's something that should scare a lot of other teams.
100%. Getting everybody back out there in uniform, even if you don't get everyone, I think I talked to David Bridges last Friday. He started some lifting and trying to be mobile on that leg, and so I think getting him back could be huge. And then obviously with Pearson, not to mention if you are able to even get Dallas Buckner, he's a guy that went down against Community. You get Buckner back, he's able to continue playing that fullback spot. Well, then now you have Tristan Houston and Pearson Collier who can split some of those carries. Not to mention if you get David Bridges, or even if X-Handle was to return. So it could be fun. And I think we're going to need some of those guys, some of those bodies. So again, this is what it's all about, though. Just giving yourself a chance. It all starts Friday night.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick timeout, and then we're going to hear from Principal Don Thomas over at Giles County High School here on Beyond the Box Score.
For over 50 years, PES Energize has been proudly powering our community in Pulaski and Giles County, Tennessee. We're more than just an electric utility. We also offer internet and phone services. Our commitment to our customers and our community is what sets us apart. We're dedicated to providing safe, reliable, and innovative services. At PES Energize, we believe that serving you is a privilege. We're here for all your energy needs. Visit PESenergize.com or call us today.
This is Chandler Harmon here for the Giles County segment. And joining me today is Principal Don Thomas. Sir, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. So obviously last time we talked, we were getting ready to go into fall break, and now we're back in a few weeks in. What are some things that are going on this week in the high school?
Well, it's homecoming week here, so there's a lot of things going on, things that'll drive you crazy. As an administrator, you hope to maintain and keep everybody focused. So that's just what we're working on, being in school, doing our classwork, and being successful at that. We've had a couple of tests lately. We're getting our results back on our ASVABs and ACT, so we're proud of what we're doing there.
Absolutely. And so, one big thing that's happened is the SRO's got the dogs back, the mental health dogs. Talk to me a little bit about that and what you're seeing with that.
Well, it's a phase-in process or whatever, and we're just getting to the point that she's out and she's out and about right now. She's just being adapted to previously she was just being adapted to the environment, but now she's out with students and things like that. And, kids love her. She's very, kind, comfortable. She's what she's supposed to be. And so I think it's going to be very successful in our school.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than having a dog.
It's real nice.
Absolutely. And so last thing I kind of want to talk to you about, last week, Jackson Northside for the Bobcats. Big game. Pearson Collier, 6 touchdowns for the Bobcats. What were some things you saw the team do?
Played very hard. Played hard, extremely hard all over. That team has a Tennessee commit. They also have some other guys that are very viable to go in D1. They had 20 seniors. We went to a hostile environment and played a really good football game. And our guys took a 2.5-hour trip on a bus. They handled it well. They handled the day well, and just real proud of their effort.
Absolutely. Now you get to close the season at home with 2 games. So.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And so before I get out of here, I always like to take the chance to give you the opportunity to talk about something I didn't ask. Is there anything you wanted to add, sir?
I think the overall school environment's going really well. I'd like to, just praise our students for that. They're in charge of their environment. We just give them some guidelines. So I think our student population is doing very well, and I'm just really proud of them.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Gas Department of Pulaski is here to help you save money. Natural gas is safe, efficient, and cost-effective. It's up to 50 to 60% less expensive than electricity for home heating. Plus, it's clean and efficient, so you can feel good about your choice. Call us today for service or visit our website to learn more. Make the switch to natural gas and start saving today.
And welcome back in, everyone, to Beyond the Box Score for our Richland segment. I'm Mark Mize. She's Jennifer Hawkins. Jennifer, the Raiders finished their home season undefeated in the regular season, 5-0 at Wayne Hop Stadium, this time beating Summertown 30-10.
Well, that's why I lovingly nicknamed it Winville instead of Linville, because they have been so successful at home, and they showed out on Friday night. And I think a lot of it they pull from the energy of the crowd, and there's just something about being on your home turf, and you have a relaxed feel to what you want to do at home.
Definitely. And really for Richland, it kind of felt like they sleptwalked to a 10-3 lead at halftime. They had a couple drives in which really felt like one time a bad snap and one time a key penalty kept them from the end zone. They were almost 3 for 3 on touchdown drives in the first half, but just a couple miscues in the red zone ended up with only 3 points on those 2 possessions. Second half, it was all Raiders, and really the defense was great all night long.
The tale of 2 halves for sure. And we kept mentioning on Friday night when we were covering that you really felt like Richland was still dominant and in control of that game,
Yeah.
even in the first half. But the scoreboard was not truly reflecting that. And you're kind of looking like, wait, it's still just a 10-3 one possession ball game, but you felt like they still were managing the game well. They just kind of had some missteps on their own. I'm not sure that Summertown was truly that successful at shutting them down, but like you said, it was a mishandled snap and then a penalty that kind of cost them points when they were getting down in the red zone or close to the red zone, that they should have really walked away with more points than what they had shown on the board. But they made those adjustments at half, cleaned it up a little bit, and then came out really strong and continued that dominance and put the points on the scoreboard in the second half.
Opened the night with a beautiful play action in which Gavin Schrader hit Hudson Griggs on a 34-yard touchdown. Ended the night with a couple rushing touchdowns from Jake Sands. Once again, a very balanced offense. And then you look at that defense, they're only giving up an average of 11 points per game this year. And they played a really hard non-region schedule with, of course, in region play, teams like Eagleville and Huntland. So, I mean, you just can't say enough about that defense. Coming into the season, I really would have guessed the offense would have been the stronger unit. And, of course, the offense has been averaging about 35 points per game the last 4 games. But they needed some time kind of to wake up and to get into midseason form. The defense was midseason form from week 1.
I know. Well, in fact, you share the stats with us and all before we do our recording here. And when it said 11 points, I was like, I think he made a mistake. And I mean, usually you're right on. And so I kind of looked back, I was like, no, that's exactly right. Because
what's the most points they've given up this year?
Oh, goodness, Mark, you always ask me things on the spot. So I'm trying to think back over the games. I don't, honestly.
21.
You asked her say
There's been only one
I
game
thought there was
this
a
year
20-point game
in which they gave
early
up
on. Yep.
more than 20 points. And so, I mean, that's how you do it. And then, of course, the last few weeks, 8 points to Community, 7 points to Eagleville, 0 points to Cornersville, 10 points to Summertown. I mean, once you actually look at all the scores, suddenly 11 points per game makes a lot of sense.
It does, but when I first saw it, I thought, that doesn't feel right. But
It's
I
correct.
thought, that is how dominant this defense has been. And you're right. They started that dominance early on. It did not take them several games to kind of get in the flow. They just came right out and said, we're here, make their presence known. And I know a lot of times you have to talk to opposing coaches, and that's that's the response you keep getting is the physicality of the Richland team. And a lot of it is that defense, because especially up front, that defensive line is solid. There's just no really getting through that. There's no empty holes through there that you could kind of push through and try to gain yards every once in a while, but they are just completely solid. And then you have a really consistent secondary. They read things well. There was the big interception Friday night. They're just looking at lanes, and it's like they're a step ahead each time. Are they figuring out how to get in the other team's huddle? I don't know what it is, but it is working for them. And it's been impressive to really watch that defense flourish. And then the offense took them a few games to kind of get their rhythm going. But man, every section of the game, defense, offense, and then special teams really doing their job.
Speaking about special teams, AJ Bates hit a field goal for the 3rd straight week. This one, a season-high 45 yards. And actually, I ended up hearing after the game, his other kick got blocked. And the reason it got blocked and was on a lower trajectory was the last defensive series, someone had stepped on his foot and broken his shoe. His shoe was actually broken with a huge hole in it. And so that's why he said that, some of his family members I work with actually said that was the reason why, that he had a broken shoe. And that may have led in part to that blocked kick. But I'll tell you, I mean, he's just a weapon. And if they need him to hit a game-winning field goal, say it's tied 17-17 in the postseason, I think a lot of times, they would be like, let's go ahead and not play for a field goal because we have to have a touchdown. They're one of the few teams in Class A where I think they feel, hey, we can be conservative and make sure we get what we want here because we have a guy who can hit those shots.
Yeah, and that's funny that you talk about the broken shoe. Don't tell people that, because that's really all that has slowed him down. Because
they did buy him a new shoe this week.
I'm just kidding.
He did get new shoes this week.
They're like, okay, now we know that's the weapon, but that's how we stop him. But yeah, he just he adds that extra element because you don't have to get it in the end zone. I mean, obviously that's always your goal, but you do have that as a backup, and he's been consistent. We were so impressed a few weeks ago with the 42-yard field goal, and he's like, "I watch this," So there's no telling, and he's going to share in the interview about what he can hit. And I told you there was rumors of 60 or so. It's a little more than that, folks. So make sure you listen to the interview. But man, I tell you, he is, like you said, he is a different weapon and a difference maker on that team, because it's not just special teams. That kid's doing it all, and he's getting after it. They've got a couple, he and Jake Sands both. They're just such good athletes. You can kind of put them anywhere you need on the field and make use of them.
Of note, the state record in all classifications is 62. So keep that in mind just in case maybe before the end of the season, Patterson gives them a chance to try to break the record. And you're going to hear from AJ Bates, Tucker Mayo, and Shooter Foster in just a moment, along with Nick Patterson, as Jennifer Hawkins had a chance to interview all four of them after Friday night's win.
For a new job, let M&M Staffing be your guide. With over 20 years of experience, we know how to connect great people with great opportunities. We work with over 80 companies, so we're sure to find the perfect job for you. Our team is dedicated to helping you succeed, and our high customer satisfaction rate proves it. Ready to get started? Visit us at mnmstaffing.net or give us a call today at 931-347-4255.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and first thing I want to say is congratulations on a big win. And so what are your thoughts coming off your senior night game? What are you feeling right now?
I mean, it was a great game. It was fun to be out there, fun to play with my teammates. Last home game of the regular season, hopefully until playoffs come around. And I feel like we just did a great job on all cylinders, special teams, defense, offense. Created turnovers, did what we needed to do on defense.
We kept mentioning your name quite a bit on a lot of tackles tonight, so I think you're going to get home a little bit later and kind of let yourself kind of come back down off of this. But big play. You had the week off last week. How did that help you guys moving into this week?
I mean, during the quarters of the week, I could tell some of us was moving slow, and some people were like exhausted, ready to get football over with. But I mean, we're hoping for at least another 8 weeks. We're going to play till December 5th. We're wanting that state championship. Won that ring by the end of the season.
There you go. Already got the goal set in mind, and you guys have the team and the tools to do that. So keeping your eyes forward. You got a big matchup next week, so you get to enjoy this for a little bit. What are you looking forward to next week with Fayetteville?
I'm looking forward to getting Coach Mace back, and looking forward to just winning, hopefully winning another region game.
Yeah, there'll be a big matchup, so we'll be on the call and get you guys that. So, Shooter, thank you for Mr. Bates. That's what we said we were going to start calling you, because you play like a full-grown man out there. I tell you, one of my favorite plays tonight, AJ, was you took a play, and we thought you were going to be hit maybe for a yard gain, and you just got pound in the first half. And I know that's one of your favorite things is just to get hit hard. How are you feeling after all of the things you had to take care of tonight?
Honestly, I think I could have done a little better, but there's always that margin that for me, I feel like I could do a little better for the team, but honestly, it's acceptable for tonight. I'm pretty happy with it.
Well, we were talking about you played running back, you played in defense, you had field goal kicking, your kickoffs, and you punted, so where they just have a checklist for you to get everything done. But I do want to talk about, so you had a 42-yard field goal a few weeks ago. You took that off tonight with a 45-yard field goal. So what's next? What really is your vision there? How hard do you really kick that?
Well, the farthest I've ever hit in practice was a 67-yarder. And, I may have had a little wind in my back, but, I still made it. So, I don't really have as much of a goal for me as I have a goal for the team. If I can hit, whatever point that they need me to hit, that's what I'll do. And that's just kind of my goal, is whatever they tell me to do, that's what I'm doing.
Big win tonight for senior night. So what's been like one of your favorite memories that you take with you from now on, looking back over your football career?
Oh, definitely like the brotherhood that came along with it. I mean, I played with some of these guys for since 5th grade and maybe below. And I think that it's going to be amazing to be able to call one of these guys one day. And if if I need something, they come, you know. And I think it's just amazing that I really can't get that anywhere else other than, you know, sports, and especially this program. We're really tight knit.
Well, we've enjoyed getting to watch you play and grow up in front of us, and you and I get to talk football in the halls a lot of times, and so thank you for not tackling as often when you see me. He gives me a big old hope, but I'm glad that you don't take me down with that, because I think you might hurt me. But congratulations again on a big win and a great season, and we look forward to more big game next week. And so I know you guys are going to be ready, but enjoyed this win tonight. So thank you. That was AJ Bates. We're just going to line these guys up and talk to them. So Tucker, thanks for joining us tonight, and thank you for just a fun season so far. We look forward to several more weeks. Shooter mentioned that you guys have some goals moving forward. But I just want to talk to you for just a minute. First of all, I just want to brag. I brag on you guys all the time about how much I enjoy having you in the classroom.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me, or give our listeners just a little insight of what a typical week, you know, leading up to Friday nights, what we get to enjoy. What is it that you guys enjoy beyond the Friday nights?
Well, Mondays are usually just kind of reflect on the past week and install new things on defense and offense and also special teams. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are more just ripping those things and getting better at them, learning how to do it correctly. And then Thursdays a walkthrough, making sure everything's fine-tuned and getting ready for Friday night.
So there's a lot of young guys around that watch you guys. I don't know. I know when you're out playing, you kind of that's your focus, which it should be. But there's a lot of these young guys. What piece of advice would you have for like a younger player that wants to have success in a football career?
You just got to work. You gotta grind and just wait on your time. Your time's coming. You just got to work at it.
All right. So looking ahead, what's the game plan for next week? I know you haven't talked about it much because you kind of focus on the task at hand. But you know, Fayetteville's going to be a tall task, but there's a lot on the line. Looking ahead at that, so you personally as a team, what do you guys got to do?
We just have to focus on us mostly. That's mostly our game plan for every week, is to worry about the things that we need to do and not necessarily the other team. But I mean, it is a big region matchup, so we need to be on our A game.
Very good. So folks, that was Tucker Mayo, another one of our senior coaches. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on a big win here against Summertown. I know that feels good for you. You get to enjoy it tonight. So tell me, what are you most proud of as far as the game plan as it unfolded in front of you tonight?
Well, just the way the guys executed and fought. We had a little adversity today that we had to, battle through, but they handled it well. And just like you would think with a group of 16 seniors, they wanted to go out their way as far as the regular season on this field. And so, adversity or not, we didn't let that stop us. And Shooter and Tucker, as linebackers and kind of leaders on our defense, did a great job stepping up. And Jake made some great runs there early to. Really all of them. Like you said, you could name all of them, throughout, and just really proud of their effort and, attitude, throughout this whole thing, and we got a lot more ball to play.
Yeah, that's what the guys keep saying is, week by week get the job done, and I know you've got to keep them focused, especially with teenagers. I mean, they're still teen guys, but you guys as a coaching staff have done a good job of that. 16 seniors, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to do. What's going to be give me a few words of legacy that these guys have attitude versus what you're going to remember about them?
Well, we won the region last year. We're in play for it again. We're not there yet, but we certainly, have that opportunity before them. So, a chance to have a successful season like that, a chance for some home playoff games are still there, so a lot still on the line and a lot to play for, but these guys have, probably, I would argue, one of the most winningest classes that's come through here in a long, long time, probably since the state championship run back in the 80s, so, really proud of their effort and their day-to-day grind. The one thing that they understand is that we still haven't played our best ball, and so our biggest opponent is ourselves every week, and we're still trying. And even tonight, there was a whole lot we still got to clean up and get ready for next week. But we're trying to play the best ball we can each and every week, and looking for perfection, knowing that that's not attainable. That's what we're chasing, and so we're trying to beat ourselves each and every week. And our guys have really taken to that, and they're working towards that hard.
They've been a fun young group, and a lot of that is credit to you and your staff pouring into them, but they're just a great group of guys. And it's been a fun season to get to do, but I think the best is still yet to come. We've seen glimpses of it, and you and I as teachers, we call it teachable moments, and there's still, you always want that better to move forward. So we wish you the best of luck next week. Big game against Fayetteville. We're going to be on that call. I think Raider Nation's going to show up big and proud and have your back. So we wish you the best of luck. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for sending us such good players to watch week in, week out. I know you enjoyed your fall break, got you a little break, but getting right at it and took care of business tonight. So thank you again, Coach Patterson, for joining us. We hope to see a big win again next week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
When it comes to insurance, Winterburr & Associates Insurance is the team you can trust. We offer coverage for your home, auto, business, and more. We work hard to find the best policy for you at the best price. Our personalized service means we take the time to understand your needs and make sure you understand your options. We want you to feel confident and secure with your insurance policy. Let us make insurance simple for you. Get a quote today at winterburrinsurance.com or call us at 931-363-8638.
And we're back once again on Beyond the Box Score. You just heard from Coach Patterson and some of the players as the Raiders won 30-10 over Summertown, their final non-region game of the year. That means two region foes, both on the road, will end the season. It all starts with what is to date the biggest game of the year at Fayetteville City. Fayetteville City 3-0 in the region standings. Raiders are 2-1, and so whoever leaves Friday night with a victory over there in Fayetteville will be the top team in the region heading in to the season finale. Raiders would be playing at Moore County, and Fayetteville City will be playing versus Eagleville there. So you can't win the region championship Friday night, but you potentially could lose it. So either one of these teams suddenly puts themselves in the driver's seat heading into week 11.
I think both teams are going into this game knowing it's a big matchup. If you want to win the regional championship, then you got to get through this game Friday night and come out with a win and keep yourself in that driver's seat. So talking with some of the guys, they've had a chance to, Summertown was kind of that warm-up game with it being a non-regional game. They had the week off, the bye before, then come back, have a non-regional opponent that's going to, kind of let them get their feet back under them, let them figure out some of their rhythms and things before this big matchup. And they have their eyes forward and really focused. They're pretty, the kids all say locked in. That's the new term nowadays, but they're really ready for this game. And I think it's going to be a fun one. It's one of those, I really don't know. It could come down to the wire, but also if Richland plays some of their best ball and puts it together for 4 quarters, I mean, they really could make a good showing against Fayetteville. They have all the weapons and tools ready and available. And we keep hearing from Patterson, and he thinks the best is still yet to come. Friday night's the time to do it,
right?
Because Fayetteville City, it's gonna be a tough matchup. They're a well put together team, and they're always tough to play against. They've got some good weapons that that you got to keep an eye on and stuff. But I think the guys really can take what they've done all season and really put it all together. They've had time to clean things up. They've had time to get things corrected. All those little missteps, each week they're getting better and better and better. This is really where they need to have it all come together and put themselves in charge.
Absolutely. And of course, winning this game, like we said, I mean, obviously you can't count your chickens before they hatch, when it comes to the week 11 game at Moore County.
Right.
I'll be honest, I think Moore County is probably the worst team in this region. I think Cornersville is going to beat them this week as well. And so, Richland will be heavily, heavily favored in that matchup. So winning this one puts you just inches away from a region championship. But the problem is if you lose, there's a very realistic scenario where you finish 4th, which is still a playoff berth, of course, but at the same time, going on the road week 1, I don't think that's what you want, especially after the season you've had if you're the Raiders. And so this is, like I said, to date, probably the most important game of the year. Kind of looking at Fayetteville City, Najee, their starting running back, is averaging about 130 yards per game. He's got 12 touchdowns through their first 6 games. Interesting note for them, they'll only play 9 games this year because people keep forgetting that the week that the Cowbell game happened, Giles versus Lawrence, and then Richland had that huge victory over White House Heritage. Basically, no one else finished their games that week because it was the week where it was the huge flood/thunderstorms. every team in Murray County just said, all right, we can't play.
Right.
The storms are just too bad. We can't get out of these lightning delays. And so a lot of teams did not get that game in. There isn't as much statistical information out there for Fayetteville City, as we have 8 games worth of Richland stats and only 6 games worth of Fayetteville City stats. Interesting note for that, though, the 6 games I do have, their starting quarterback, Niles Barnett, has only completed 14 passes in those 6 games, but he's averaging over 20 yards per completion. And so it looks like they don't pass the ball much, they run first, but because they run the ball so much, when they're hitting passes, they're hitting bombs.
So they don't run a lot of little slant routes and anything that just picks up short yardage, it sounds like. So that's going to be an interesting development with the defense. You know, I'm sure they are aware of that, that Coach Patterson and his coaches are going to have a game plan for that. But you know, you're talking about the running game, but have they bet a defense like Richland at all this season? That's going to be the fun matchup, I think, that everybody is going to want to watch is, Fayetteville, they're a strong running team. They get good yardage. You know, they try to take it up the gut and stuff, but can they do that against the strong defensive line? That's going to be the question. This is where Richland really could, you know, kind of make their presence known and go, hey, we're legit. We can do this, and you're going to have to get through us to try to win this game.
Of note, they have run into teams like that a few times this year. Because the funny thing about Fayetteville City, they played such a hard non-region schedule. They didn't win a single non-region game. They're 3-4 on the year, and they're 3-0 in region play, which is where it matters.
Yes, right.
But and like I said, very, very impressive victories over Cornersville and also over Huntland. And so this is not a team to be taken lightly. Fayetteville City is going to be really strong. I think this is going to be, I'll be honest with you, I can't say whether they or Eagleville are stronger, because I think Eagleville just had a bad game versus Richland. Everyone keeps talking down Eagleville, but you look what they're doing in every game except for the game against Richland. They're a really good team. And so to that point, in week 11, Fayetteville City might lose this region even if they beat Richland, because they may just lose to Eagleville. And so, you know, a lot's still on the table. And even though Huntland has now been eliminated with their second loss, because of course, you know, they end up losing there, they are at this point still Richland and Fayetteville City and Eagleville all still in the mix for region championship. 3 different teams could take it home.
Still a lot of football to play. That's why we keep saying you put the game on the field. On paper, it says one thing, but this is why we enjoy it so much, because you just never know what's going to happen. But Friday night is going to be a fun matchup. I'm glad that we're going to get to go and witness it. But I really do think it could come down to what's Fayetteville run game versus the Richland defense. And then our offense has been consistent all season. Fayetteville defense, I just don't know that they have enough answers for the different weapons that we have. There's too many options for Schrader to pick apart, you know, because we've seen his pass game just get stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And then he's got so many running back options. You've got the strong fullback positions with Reedy and Bates, and then you've got the option with Cagle and Sands to kind of have the quick feet and quick maneuvers. And so you've got just too many weapons. Does Fayetteville have enough answers defensively? I don't think so. So if Richland defense can put up some stops on the other side, it really could end up being a lopsided game. And I mean, I'm kind of hoping for that. That would be a lot more fun, but it should be a fun one that we're going to get to call out and bring everybody, you know, what's going on with it.
We'll find out for sure.
Yep.
And speaking of about what Jennifer just talked about, we'll be streaming the game. And so it will be on WKSR's Facebook and YouTube this Friday night, as Jennifer and I and Elijah Watkins will be at the game. He'll be filming it for us and we'll be on the air. So remember, you can watch and listen to that game on WKSR, and we'll also have our photography by Joel Robinson this time, as Landon Hawkins will be the photographer for Giles this week. But Joel Robinson's photography and my stats and game stories on PulaskiCitizen.com, as well as in the print edition next week. But we'll be back after a quick timeout with our final segment, where Adam Hansen and I talk a little college football here on Beyond the Box Score.
Greetings, Raider Nation, and welcome back to another episode of All Things Richland. And I am your host, Jennifer Hawkins. Today, a couple more special guests with us that are representing our ag department and specifically our FFA, Future Farmers of America crew. We have on my far left is Maddie Witt. one of our juniors here at Richland, and next to her is Kristen Hood, who is also a junior here at Richland. And so they're going to get the opportunity just to share a bit about the FFA program and some of the things they're involved in and some of the ways that you can help out if you would like to invest in this great program that we have here at Richland. So Maddie, let's start with you. Tell me first of all, like, what's your role in the FFA chapter, and then also how long have you been a part of that group?
I've been in FFA since I have been a freshman, and my second year would be the first year I got my green hand degree, and then I got my chapter degree, and I decided to become an officer, and I was the secretary last year, and this year I am the president.
All right, congratulations as a junior. So serving it up, being loud and proud and leading the way, right, with the program. Very good. Well, tell me a little bit about what FFA and the Ag program has meant to you specifically. Like, what skills has it built for you?
Well, I've grown up on a beef cattle farm all my life, and so I've always had a liking to agriculture and really cared for it and how important it is. And I've especially seen how much work is put into it, so wanting to learn more about it and be a part of see the other parts of agriculture that there is, I'm very interested in it.
So definitely a hands-on type approach with this program. So now you guys have been doing just some different things around the community, the school, and so forth. And then you also have an opportunity right now, one of your big fundraisers. So why don't you tell the folks about what's going on right now?
Right now we are doing our fruit sales, and they will last. We'll turn our money in towards the middle of November, and that's when all the orders will be due. And then around the first or second week of December is whenever all the fruit will come in, and you can see any FFA member to order any type of fruit. There's a whole list of all kinds, and towards the end we have a little bit of a competition of the top 10 fruit sales, and we'll have our strawberries in the spring, and whoever has the top 10 biggest amounts of boxes that they have sold, they'll get a little prize at the end of the year.
Just a little friendly competition, right? Yeah, but and if you've not had these fruits, and there's some other things there's sweet potatoes, there's cheese and crackers and different things that you can get from these FFA members. It's top-notch stuff, so you're going to want to get your hands on it, and it's just in time for Christmas too. So if you got guests coming over, this is a good opportunity to kind of help out the FFA, but also help out yourself so you don't have to go do extra shopping, right? So win-win is definitely the thing with that. So Kristen, let's talk about, so tell me your role in the FFA and how long you've also been a member with FFA.
So I'm the vice president. I've also been in FFA since I was a freshman. I've been in agriculture my whole life. The FFA, I always heard my older siblings talking about it, and it was always interesting to me. And so as soon as I got the opportunity to join it, I was like, let's go.
So what, just kind of thinking back on your years in FFA, what's been one of your favorite memories of being a part of this group?
Memories always especially come from our conventions that we go on. So in the spring, we go to state convention, which is at the end of March, and we go to Gatlinburg. And then we're here at the end of October. We're going to national convention, which is in Indianapolis. We get to go tour other agricultural places, and then we get to hear from some inspirational people. They give inspirational speeches, and it's just really empowering to all of us young agricultural
students and those of you that get to go and do so. And now you guys have a new sponsor this year, Miss Lagarda. So Mr. Doggett ran this for several years, and then he moved on to TCAT, and so now Miss Lagarda is in charge. So you guys are getting to kind of help out on the ground level, because she's getting her feet under her, but I mean, she's doing an exceptional job. So national convention, could you maybe put in a good word that maybe if y'all need another chaperone, that maybe
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, because I mean, I'd like to go too, because y'all come back and share all those stories, and I'm like,
Right.
man, that sounds like such fun. And I know that's where a lot of the students say that's their favorite memories is going to
Right.
one of the conventions. So sounds like a lot of fun. And folks, they do all kinds of things around the school. They just finished a canned food drive. They raise funds. They do just a lot of different things. They have the greenhouse that happens in the spring, and so folks come out and support that. So this is such a great opportunity for you guys to get involved and help out with sales, but also just to see really, pardon my pun, but the boots on the ground that do the work and really put in the hard work each and every day with what they do in their home life and their farms. And I mean, you guys do this every day at your homes, and then you come to school and share that with us. So great program, great investment to our students in our school. And we're so glad to have Maddie and Kristen join us today and tell us just a little bit about our FFA program and also ways that you guys can contribute and help out with this chapter as they're growing in the years ahead. So thank you both for being here. And if you have questions or want to order some of that fruit, please see an FFA member or just call up here to the school and they'll get you attached. And yeah, Maddie and Kristen, they want those prizes too. So they definitely are saying, hey, hit us up. We'll help you out and make those sales. So thank you, ladies, for being with us. Again, I am Jennifer Hawkins with All Things Richland.
For over 50 years, PES Energize has been proudly powering our community in Pulaski and Giles County, Tennessee. We're more than just an electric utility. We also offer internet and phone services. Our commitment to our customers and our community is what sets us apart. We're dedicated to providing safe, reliable, and innovative services. At PES Energize, we believe that serving you is a privilege. We're here for all your energy needs. Visit PESenergize.com or call us today.
And we're back for our final segment here on Beyond the Box Score. I'm Mark Mize, and joining me for the second time this year to talk some college football, you knew I couldn't not bring you in after the Georgia Bulldogs had a big victory over Ole Miss. It's Adam Hansen.
Well, not even that. I mean, it's SEC season. Everybody complains about the SEC. Oh, they always talk about the SEC. I think the SEC is what defines the playoff this year because, you had all those other teams last year that were all feigning around one or two losses. They were fighting for the division lead. They had some good wins under their belt. This year, you don't really see that in the Big 12, things like that. So SEC is controlling it. The belief is 5 teams. So, midway point of the college season almost, or basically, we hadn't talked about it since the beginning of the season. So pleasure to be back and talking some SEC football because, boy, was it an exciting one for the SEC this week.
Probably the best week of SEC football we've had so far this year. We'll start out with your Georgia Bulldogs, who won Ole Miss at Georgia, number 5 versus number 9. The Bulldogs gave up 5 straight touchdowns to start the day, but outscored Ole Miss 17-0 in the fourth quarter to end up pulling away the victory.
Yeah, actually, went into that fourth quarter with a 9-point deficit. If you were a fan of punting, then you probably tuned into the Texas-Kentucky game because there was a lot of punting in that game. Very little in the Georgia-Ole Miss game. It was good to see the Dogs come back, fight back. They had that loss last year to Jackson Dart where he just put a foot down and said, no, we're not losing to Georgia again. I think they won like 38-13 last year, something like that. But it was just an absolute beatdown by Ole Miss. So it was good to see Georgia come back. Kirby talked about, hey, having to start fast all year long. I think we saw that really with that in that dog game. They came out, they knew that Ole Miss was going to come out and really try to dominate with that offense. Surprising, Trinidad Chambliss. Wow, Mark. I mean, Ferris State never played in front of a crowd like that. He came in and he was not riled by that Athens Sanford Stadium crowd that the Dogs had. I mean, they were raucous from beginning to end. But yeah, I was saying the entire time watching that game, I think that this game is going to come down to who punched the ball first. And in the fourth quarter, that was Ole Miss.
And it was funny. The stat that I found most interesting was all of the Ferris State home games combined last year had fewer fans in attendance than Athens, Georgia had on Saturday. And I mean, also Ferris State, when it comes to FCS offense, royalty, obviously. But at the same time, it's just different. It just means more is what the SEC you always hear. And so that was such a fun game. Honestly, I think that was the most fun game of the day for me. A lot of people around here would have said it was probably number 10 LSU at number 17 Vanderbilt. 31-24, but it really didn't feel that close. Vanderbilt, I think this was their most impressive game of the year.
The most exciting part about what you see Vandy do is the belief. Last year, we're like, okay, We saw them get better 2 years ago. It's like, and then we see them upset the number one Alabama team last year. And we were like, okay, is this for real? They came into the season just hitting the ground running. They've improved in every area. We knew what type of offense they have, but their defense plays very disciplined. And they really seem to make the play when it counts. Every time that LSU started mounting a comeback, every time they started coming, you would see the Vanderbilt defense really make a play. They would step up, and then you would see Pavia get the ball back. And you give that offense chances, they will take advantage of it. And when Pavia's not turning the ball over like he did against Bama, we see what that offense can do, and they're just kind of unstoppable. I've never seen a team that can get negative plays like Vanderbilt, and it doesn't seem to faze them at all. A lot of that times they would get like 2nd and 12, 2nd and 15, and then you see Pavia get 9, 10 yards, and now you have a 3rd and manageable. And they're really good at moving that ball, controlling the clock, and making teams not only play to their style, but what their game plan is going in. We really saw that against LSU. Like you said, the final score seemed closer, but that game was never in doubt. Vandy seemed to come in and dominate that game from the snap.
Well, and the thing is, they're such a complete team.
Mhm.
I mean, defensively, they're about the 40th best defensive team in the country, which not elite, but good enough. And then offensively, they're just so dynamic. The offense is run so well. They do something a lot of teams don't do. It's almost kind of like a triple option spread offense, kind of like what Florida was doing back when they had Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. And then on top of that, Diego Pavia, a lot of people compare him to Johnny Manziel, and I really see it.
Yes.
Just a guy who's playing some backyard football. He's not playing a traditional – he's never going to make a lot of money in the NFL.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I think he's probably going to get cut in camp. But he's a guy who is like built in a lab to exploit college defenses. I mean, just legitimately, when we talked last year about basketball with Auden Slaughter for Santa Fe, that's exactly what I think about when I think about Diego Pavia. Someone who is so much better than their measurables in terms of, just being able to exploit opposing defenses. And wow, I mean, he's unbelievable. The thing is, once again, there is nothing about him that is great, but the sum total and really just his belief above all odds that he and Vanderbilt are the best team in the country, which they're not, just to be honest with you. I know. But, I mean, they have found the formula that has them playing in the conversation of that. They're number 10. It's the highest they've been ranked in I don't even remember how many years it was. And just, I mean, it's unbelievable. And at this point, coming into this game, this was the game where I was saying, I still don't think they can make the playoffs. I suddenly think they have a chance.
Yes.
I don't think they finished better than 10-2, but 10-2 is a realistic possibility, and I think they would get in at 10-2.
Yeah, and I think that one word that went with Manziel that we can easily put Pavia was moxie. They both have this moxie, and I think the team feeds off that, and that it gives you a chance, not only because it's infectious for the whole team, they all believe that they can win. You see that out there. I mean, that's the ironic part that I was curious about watching that Vandy game. I actually had a buddy that went. I said, hey, will you do me a favor and let me know if you see more LSU fans there than Vandy fans? Because I figured maybe, and no, that place was packed in purple and gold. And it was still like almost a away environment for them at home in that game. And you could not tell by the way and the belief in Pavia. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to start to see that change very quickly. And I think that's a very thing that he may not be the best NFL quarterback, and I think he understands that. So that's why he fought last year to get those extra years of eligibility.
Yeah.
And watch out for Vandy. I mean, I think that was a loser leave home type of game, whereas whoever lost between Vandy and LSU probably wasn't making the playoffs. And with them winning, their chances significantly increase, especially with another game they have this week.
Yeah, and then looking at the last game we'll talk about from last week, number 11 Tennessee at number 6 Alabama, 37-20. Alabama wins this one, and really I think everyone will agree it comes down to one play. Just a bizarre play call there when you have 7 seconds and no timeouts, and they're going to pass the ball. When you set up like that, it's a really obvious play call. And a lot of people, someone that was watching the game who I was talking to was basically saying, oh, well, I wonder if Aguilar's neck injury he had suffered in the first half had to do with that bad throw. It should have been about a foot more to the right, but it wasn't a terrible throw. It was just a bad play call because the defensive back there is pretty confident that they're not going to run the ball knowing that if they get tackled in bounds, they don't get any points on the drive. And so it was always going to be a pass, and the defensive back can just sit on that route. And of course, he ends up going for 6.
Yeah, I think a lot of that too. I actually rewatched some things in that game because it was so baffling to understand. I need to rewatch stuff to just comprehend what I saw, because it's weird that you see a game that ends 37-20 and you're like, wow, that team that scored 20 was the better team. They should have technically won that game, because I felt like even if you watch that thing, like they had chances. They should have been leading that entire game. I mean, it started off a little slow, both teams trying to feel each other out. But I think it wasn't necessarily so much even that play, and that play was huge in the game.
I mean, that's a 14-point swing.
100%. But I think it was the entire second quarter. You rewatch that entire second quarter, it was 7-7 going in that quarter. They had the safety in the end zone, another holding call, passing call right on the 1-yard line, questionable play call there. And it goes back when that turnover, that pick 6 that happened, they had basically first and goal. It's like first down and 10 from about the 12-yard line, somewhere around in there. But they had 2 timeouts and 40 seconds on the clock. How do you get to a spot where you're first and goal, 9 seconds left, or second and goal, and you have to pass the ball like that? Yeah, and it was almost a Malcolm Butler play from the Super Bowl years ago, where he's just, they're passing it, and then he just waits for it and picks it off. That was the swinging point in the game, but you had the safety that happened. Yeah. And then they come right back out after halftime, and you throw another interception on the 2-yard line in the end zone. So there's 2 times that Tennessee turned the ball over on the 2-yard line. You figure those go for 2 touchdowns. That's 14. And then, like you said, going into the game, not only the momentum swing, that's a 14-point swing right there.
Yeah. And then looking at this week, number 8, Ole Miss at number 13, Oklahoma. Feels like this is probably a playoff elimination game.
I agree.
As you get your second loss there, it's going to be really hard to win out from there. Ole Miss, it's so crazy that you go from just really high odds to win the SEC to suddenly playing for your playoff lives 1 week later. I mean, that's
great point.
What SEC football is these days,
really
though. And what do you feel about this one, where you have an offense from Ole Miss that's just been unstoppable, but you have what very well may be the best defense in the SEC in Oklahoma?
I think you're going to see 2 things. One, which is better? Is this defense better? Does defense win this game, or does offense win this game? Because you have probably the best defense, like you said, probably the best offense. The other thing is Chambliss, Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss, the quarterback. Is he going to come out? And because Georgia, yeah, they were opportunistic on defense. They've not been the greatest defense this year. We've seen that with the way that they've tried to stop third down. They're unable to do it. But you have Oklahoma that is a legit SEC defense. We've seen them be a very good defense all year long. Will he be able to make those plays that he made against Georgia against a defense like that? On the vice versa, John Mateer, the quarterback for Oklahoma, was the Heisman front runner until he had his hand injury. Can he come out and bring Oklahoma back to that stature that they had before he got injured? So I think it's going to be loser doesn't make the playoffs, and it's going to be very telling which team can produce what they want on the field. Can I make you play to my offense, or can I make you play to my defense? And we're going to find that out.
And looking at Mateer, 2 weeks ago, his first game back after hand surgery, which obviously tough if you're a quarterback, had a career high 3 interceptions. And last week, I know they dominated South Carolina, but he had a season low in passing yards.
Yes.
And so he doesn't look the same right now. And on offense that really counts on him making plays. Honestly, he's kind of what Pavia is to Vanderbilt, in the sense that they need him to, keep plays alive, do something special with their run defense. Until last week, Blaylock had 100 yards rushing, by the way, but until then, they'd really struggled to find someone who could be kind of that main back for their team. So it'll be interesting. Last one, College Game Day. We'll be headed to Nashville. It's been a while, and I said on the weekend, I was like, I think they're coming to Nashville as long as Missouri and Vanderbilt win these games. They both did, although not in the prettiest fashion for Missouri, but they found a way. Top 15 matchup as Missouri comes to Nashville. They've really dominated Vanderbilt recently, but I'll tell you, this feels like a game that basically every prognosticator is picking Vanderbilt just because of how special they've been in Nashville.
Yeah, 100%. And you called it right there. Missouri in that Auburn game was basically who wants to win this game, because there at the end, no team wanted to win that game. That was a very wild ending of that game, which was huge, not only for Missouri, but also getting game day to Vanderbilt. I feel like Missouri drops that game. Maybe they decide to go somewhere else. But, this first week with them beating LSU, there was all the fans weren't there. Now that there's that belief there, Mark, do you think you're going to see the Missouri fans travel, being a fan of Missouri, Are you going to see them travel and take over that stadium like you saw the LSU Tigers do?
So I was at Nashville 2 years ago for the Vanderbilt-Missouri game, and it was 60-40 Missouri over Vanderbilt in terms of, not score obviously, in terms of percentage of fans. And so in a year where Missouri was good, well, Missouri was just starting to get good again. They ended up winning 10 that year, but they're coming off a 6-win season. And Vanderbilt wasn't very good. It was about 60-40. So I think it'll be 60-40 again, but it'll be 60-40 Vanderbilt. But I don't think that there is a situation where Vanderbilt has a huge majority. I don't think there's a SEC game in which they're 80-20 like a lot of other SEC teams. And so I think there will be a lot of Missouri fans there, but I think there will be more Vanderbilt. And like I said, if this was in Columbia, I might pick Missouri because I really think Missouri is a pretty good team, but they haven't looked very good on the road yet. And Vanderbilt's just special right now. And this is another game that basically is an elimination game for the playoffs because you look at Missouri, they still have Texas A&M and Oklahoma. You would have to go 2-0 in those games if you lose to Vanderbilt. You're probably not going to do that. And then on Vanderbilt's side, you pick up a second loss, you got to go to Knoxville and still have at least one more other tough game. I forgot what it was. But basically, we're getting into elimination type territory. And there's legitimately a chance that final game of the season, I think, will be Tennessee Vanderbilt in Knoxville with both of them 9-2. And so how crazy would it be that it's truly an elimination game between the two Tennessee rivals in the last game of the year? It's been a special season. I think Vanderbilt wins this one, but like I said, whoever wins suddenly might be the story of the season in terms of a team that's never really sniffed a national championship before suddenly getting that chance to at least make the playoffs.
And if you're a fan of punting, you might want to find out who Kentucky's playing this week. Because I think in this game, Mark, you have two teams that understand their offense. Missouri's so good at running the ball. We've seen them be the only team in college football. I think they broke some records this year, having multiple backs in consecutive games with 100+ yards for each back. And then we know what type of offense Vandy has, where they're methodical, move down the field, get a lot of first downs, break a lot of big plays. So I think you're going to see a lot of efficiency moving the ball. I think it's going to come down to turnovers and who makes those 50-50 game-winning plays that we see every game, who wins the majority of those.
Absolutely. It should be a great one. Adam, it's always great to have you.
I love talking college football with you, Mark. The moment you said it, I was like, let's do it, man. It's time. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, hopefully we'll have him on at least one more time this year. But thanks again for tuning in to Beyond the Box Score. We, of course, have two great games on Friday night. Giles County will host Forest here at the Brickyard. Richland will be on the road at Fayetteville City playing for whichever team will now be the new number one in this region. So two great games. And then, as you just heard about, some great college football over the weekend. And so thanks to everyone who makes Beyond the Box Score possible. Enjoy your week, enjoy your weekends, and make sure you catch some good football.